everybody, it's me again, and welcome to today's lesson on plagiarism and academic honesty. Before we begin, let me explain too, although the next module suggested that you upload your work to the computer and then folks jump online and see it, I've elected to tell everyone, please bring your body paragraphs, the ones that you feel comfortable with people editing, the body paragraphs you plan on using for your papers or the ones you uploaded earlier, bring them to class. Bring the paper copies of your body paragraphs to class so that you folks can get some experience editing each other's stuff. I'm not confident with all the issues folks have had with tech lately and that it would work for everybody. And quite honestly, the tech itself, or there's a little warning thing on my piece as an instructor saying, probably if you're using an iPad or a tablet, it's not going to work. So I just decided we'll just bring paper copies of your body paragraphs, the ones you uploaded recently, bring those on our next class this coming Monday. Okay? So today's lecture is for the 14th of September, Wednesday, and there should be I have uploaded a PowerPoint for you folks to see on plagiarism and academic honesty. And please note, yes, I did not make this from scratch. I did take it as a Google slideshow from Deborah Parker, Brenda Lemon, who are librarians at Chapman School District in Chapman, Kansas, and it was further modified by a friend and colleague of mine, Mr. Frank Rieger. So, and I have tweaked it a bit more myself, with permission, of course. So, without further ado, let's go to the next slide. Slide number 1 would show you plagiarism and academic honesty. Slide number 2 will show you a very big light bulb, or not a big light bulb, but a yellow light bulb, and it will say, what is plagiarism? Well, the simple answer that we're going to be using here, and we're going to look at the official TCC one, but I like going simple first and then specific and complex. But plagiarism is using someone else's intellectual property without permission. It's not just copying something word for word. This can include ideas. Additionally, one who plagiarizes may be committing a copyright violation. This is illegal. I'm an author myself. I found out that I'm going to have to rewrite one of my books because it turns out some of the stuff I was going to use was not in public domain. It wasn't available for everyone to use after all. Discouraging, but a lot better than a lawsuit. Well, what are the consequences of plagiarism? Okay? Well, there are a whole bunch. We're going to be looking at them more specifically in a little bit. Okay? But generally, the first thing that happens is a score of 0 on an assignment. Okay? And then there are other, unfortunate consequences that can happen as well. Okay? 1 second, gotta tweak something. There we go. Okay, so consequences of plagiarism. At the very minimum, you're looking at a 0 on the assignment, plus other pieces as well. We'll go into that later on. But the main thing I wanted to focus on, what does plagiarism or academic dishonesty look like? Well, direct plagiarism, that's slide number 7. See a little white thumbtack above it, okay? Direct plagiarism, going down to slide number 8. The writer copies most or all of the work from another source without acknowledging that source. In other words, you copy something from somebody without acknowledging it. Now there's exceptions, of course. One of our first assignments was a group assignment that everybody was able to turn in once you put your names on it. That's a little different. Also, if it's a mini assignment and you're helping somebody, a teacher will usually say it's fine if they are similar. Okay? However, generally, if we're talking something along the sides of essay, you want to make sure there are no sections that you have covered word for word without acknowledging the source And essentially, especially if you're getting information from a friend's paper, you get permission from the friend and you acknowledge that friend as well. Okay? So, slide number 9, an example of direct plagiarism. Okay? A careful examination of the ways in which domesticated animals have diverged from their wild ancestors shows that. Cows, pig, and sheep, etc. You'll notice the boldface words have been moved around a bit, and some words have been changed. This is still direct plagiarism. Even if you insert some of your own words, change some of your own words, etc. This is still an example of direct plagiarism. If you take a paragraph, put it in there, and insert some other words to make it a little bit different, it's still direct plagiarism. Okay? Just want to make sure it's understood. Another form of plagiarism is known as mosaic plagiarism. What does that mean? Well, in mosaic plagiarism, you borrow phrases from someone else's work without using quotation marks or synonyms, but you keep the same structure. One example, when we were on the pandemic, I had a student, and I looked at his work that he had submitted. Turned out, I found it in 5 minutes on a website. I let him know about this. Things were different. A lot of people were having challenges. And I gave him the opportunity to redo the assignment. 5 minutes later, a new assignment pops up. But again, there were several pieces that looked like weren't from him. And it took me all of about 5 minutes to find out he decided or thought, I don't want to say he was being dishonest, but his idea of doing his own work meant instead of getting everything from one website, he thought it meant getting a sentence from this website, and a sentence from this website, and another sentence from that website. No, that is mosaic plagiarism. And you'll see an example of it on slide number 12. Okay? Well, slide number 13 shows the third kind of plagiarism. It's called collusion, or unauthorized aid. Okay? This means that you allow another student to use some of your work to pass off as their own. Sometimes you may have a friend who will say, come on, let me see what your essay was like. I need to know what an A paper looks like. Be aware, I've seen many cases where a friend did that to another friend, and rather than just looking at the essay and using it as a template, they submitted the entire thing with their own name. Okay? When they're caught, it makes things very rough on both individuals. Okay? So, examples of collusion. Well, Matt and Jeremy decide to collaborate on an assignment, for example. Matt gets research notes. Jeremy identifies the findings. They both write their own original papers. Now, it's different if it's a partnered assignment, but this is a case where they are both supposed to be doing their own work. They decide to share research. Not necessarily a bad thing. Matt didn't finish, so he borrows Jeremy's paper to copy some or all of the answers. Then that becomes collusion, unauthorized aid. The fourth kind is self-plagiarism. Okay? And that means you will reuse work that's been previously submitted for a grade in another class. So, maybe you have an English paper that went really well for your freshman composition, and you decide to use it for your sophomore composition class. That's something you don't want to do, because if you do, that is known as self-plagiarism. And oftentimes, most of our computers nowadays have pieces that will scan the internet for examples of plagiarism in your papers. Okay? So, the example of self-plagiarism is on 18. I'm going to spin past that. Well, you've got real-world examples where plagiarism takes place and real-world consequences. Okay? Public figures will sometimes engage in plagiarism because they're busy, or their assistants are busy and they don't bother checking the work themselves. You've got cases, 4 cases in 2021 alone, of major public figures who have been caught in the act of plagiarism. Okay? And what are those consequences? Well, if you are a student and you are at a high-profile, high-value school like the U.S. Air Force Academy, automatic expulsion. Okay? Law school, automatic expulsion. Okay? UCal Berkeley, place a number of people want to go to, automatic 0 on the assignment and semester grade reductions. These folks are not playing around now. Okay? Now, slides 22 through 29 all talk about the definitions and consequences of scholastic dishonesty. You'll find the definitions are similar. Please do read them if you have not done so already. Okay? Now, as for consequences, okay, you will receive consequences, go down on page 29. You will minimal receive a grade of 0 on the assignment or test if you're cheating, plagiarizing, or colluding, okay, engaging in collusion. If it's serious or repeated, you can be referred to the Dean of Student Development, okay, Educational Services, or your designated representative for disciplinary review, subject to disciplinary action listed in the Tarrant County College Student Handbook, and it's under the section titled Disciplinary Procedure. Check it out, okay, just to make sure you understand what you're getting into. The college can also initiate disciplinary proceedings against a student accused of scholastic dishonesty. That includes, but it's not limited to, cheating on tests, plagiarisms, and collusions. So, avoiding plagiarism, okay? Do quotations, okay? Quotation and you, okay? Make sure you quote your work, okay? Make sure that you acknowledge where you get your material from, okay? Don't try to pass it off as your own if it is not, okay? Hope everybody's happy. That's plagiarism. Please answer the 4 plagiarism definitions and give some of the consequences that are available, okay? And I'll see you all on Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.